Welcome to a bonus Sports Geek podcast with my keynote from the Australian University Sports Conference.
Welcome to the Sports Geek Podcast, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host, who uses hashtags and emails and texts, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. That's right. No number on this one. It's a bonus episode. Last week, May 19, 2016, I spoke at the Australian University Sports National Conference on the focus of trends in sports digital and also how to engage student athletes. Now, universities have a completely different focus to professional sport in that they are not media companies. They are not building out teams to produce more and more content, but they do need to engage their student bodies, both from a participation point of view and getting them to participate in university sport, and then also to advertise and get people to register for sports and for events. So I thought you would like this as a bonus episode. So this is my keynote at the Australian University Sports National Conference from May 19, 2016.
Yeah, so my name is Sean Callanan from Sports Geek. It's my company. I started it 7 years ago. Before I was Sports Geek, I was just a regular geek. For 15 years, I was a coder and developer, but I was a frustrated sports fan on what was being offered in the IT space. So when I started Sports Geek, I thought I would be helping sports teams and leagues with their IT solutions and websites and databases, because that's what I'd done for 15 years. But I started investigating the market and seeing what I could do. And one of the things, I did a lot of investigation on the internet, and you can learn a lot just via the web. But I was a really big believer in going and meeting people and seeing what they're doing. And so I was looking at what the trends were in the States and what was happening in the digital space. And at that time, things like Facebook and Twitter and those kind of things were starting to gain a bit of traction, and I could see a bit of movement and how the teams were changing from a traditional sports team to a bit more of a media department. So I went, similarly to the previous speaker, I went on a study trip where I went to Los Angeles, Dallas and New York, part secret shopper, going to stadiums, seeing what they were doing in stadium, meeting people along the way, getting stadium tours, those kind of things. I was, one of the goals of the trip was to meet Mark Cuban. Do people in the room know who Mark Cuban is? Getting a few nods of the head. So Mark Cuban is the billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks. If anyone has listened to the radio over the internet, they can thank Mark Cuban, because he put a microphone next to the radio and streamed it online. He sold that to Yahoo for a phenomenal amount of money at the top of the .com boom, and being a big sports fan, he went and bought the Dallas Mavericks. So I've joked for 7 years that Mark Cuban is a sports geek just like me. He's just got a little bit more money. So I part of my trip, I tried to connect with Mark. I tweeted him. I found all the different emails he had. I connected with people at the Mavericks. I also connected with Brad Main. So I was really in this mode of open, connecting with people and using the channels that I'm seeing the teams using, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the like. And I was at Dodgers Stadium, tweeting away, using the hashtag SportsGeekTrip. And funnily enough, when I tweeted, I had Jill, who I'd never met before, reply to me and say, "Hey, Sean, you should come to a game sometime. It was the off season." I said, "I'd love to." And we were tweeting backwards and forwards, and we figured out that I was going to be in Dallas when she was in Dallas, and we were both going to be at the Mavericks-Lakers game, where I was hoping to potentially meet Mark Cuban. So we'd organised to catch up at halftime. I'm like, this is great, I'm meeting new people. One of the other people that I also was trying to connect with to try to get close to Mark Cuban was Brad Main. So Brad Main was the CEO of the American Airlines Center at the time, the Mavericks and the Dallas Stars play. And so cheekily, as I've turned up to the Mavs games, I'd strategically got my seat on the same side of the court as Mark Cuban and things like that. And so I've tweeted Mark Cuban and said, "Hey Mark, I'm at the game today, looking forward to seeing the Mavs in action. I'm sitting here if you want to come by." And I did the same to Brad Main. And I was there enjoying the game. Dirk Nowitzki was playing, Kobe Bryant was playing, so it was a good game. I'm a big NBA fan. Halfway through the second quarter, I hear my name. I'm travelling by myself. I go, "Sean." I'm like, "It's Brad Main." He goes, "Hey, how you doing? Here's some tickets. Come and meet us up in the suite." I'm like, "Awesome." The guy next to me goes, "They're going to have food in there." I'm like, "Yes." But I'm in a dilemma. I'm meant to meet Jill, my new Twitter friend, at halftime. That's what we'd organised. But technology wasn't quite there. I could have blamed bad Wi-Fi, or I couldn't get service. I was like, "Oh, do I meet Jill or do I go to the suite?" So, what would you do? Go to the suite. So I've gone up to the suite, found my way up to the suite. Brad's there. He goes, "Here you go, Sean." He goes, "Sean, we've got some Fosters on Ice for you." I'm like, "Thanks, Brad. I'll be very polite. I'll drink them all, but we don't drink Fosters in Australia." And he starts introducing me to the people in the suite. And he goes, "Oh, this is Jill." Jill, who I met 2 days earlier via Twitter, was in the box going to Brad, "Hey, Brad, you've got to get Sean up here. He's from Sports Geek. He's touring around all these..." Could have knocked me out with a feather. So in the end, I found out that Jill she worked for the IMVA, so the Venue Managers Association here in Australia. She worked for them in the US. And so I was in a suite full of people who run stadiums around America. So it was an awesome night. I got to see Dirk Nowitzki score his 20,000th NBA point. Brad invited me back the next day to watch the Dallas Stars, and we did a bit of a tour of the stadium while the game was happening. The Stars knocked through a goal, so I got to hit the buzzer and make the sirens go off on the scoreboard. And then we walked downstairs, and he checks through the door, and he walks in. And next minute, we're in the Mavs locker room. He goes, "Here, hold these." I go, "What are they?" Dirk Nowitzki's pants. So that's my story of how I got into Dirk Nowitzki's pants. But it just sort of shows how social could be used to network and the opportunities, and it's helped me to build my business. And what we're always doing in the professional sports sense, whether it's AFL clubs, NRL clubs, A-League, Big Bash and the like, is developing the fans from a new fan, "I've just discovered the sport," to a super fan. And, if you're looking at, if you talk to membership managers and people who try to sell tickets in the AFL, NRL and the like, it's, "Oh, you're a super fan? Here you go, here's my credit card. Can you just keep it until I'm dead. That's good." That's the goal. You want them to be that passionate about your team. And the opportunity now with digital is to really accelerate that journey, because you are going from, and again, I use the professional sports sense, in the off-season, so again, the Big Bash and the A-League are in the off-season now, or when the AFL and NRL are in the off-season. 5 to 6 years ago, even that, you would probably get contacted by your club like 5 times total. A couple of emails, maybe hard mail. That's it. With Facebook, 1 post, 2 posts a day. Twitter, 2 or 3 tweets a day. An Instagram a day. You might be getting a Snapchat story. Like, you've gone from 5 pieces of content to like 1,000. So you can really deepen the connection with your fans and tell your story, whatever your story you want is. The West Coast Eagles story is, we've got a full stadium, but we've got to engage these fans over here. Whereas the GWS Giants have to teach a whole new market what football is. Same to what the Gold Coast Suns have to do here. So it's depending on the focus. And these digital channels now allow you to do that. So what works in university sport? And we saw the participation levels and the engagement in the previous example and the stuff that I've been looking at so far. It's a different focus, because in the professional sports ranks, they're all now setting up their own media companies. AFL media, NRL media, cricket's doing the same. Rugby just set up a new site, and they are effectively competing against News Corp, ESPN and the like. And it's a very resource-heavy model to be having video producers, writers, journalists, social media coordinators. It becomes very resource-heavy. But it's a little bit different, I think, from a university's point of view, because the students are producing all this content. You've just got to know where it is, how to engage them on that. And you don't have to focus on match reports and reporting. You just have to enable them to amplify what you're doing. So, as I said, it's not the same as professional sport, but you can learn from them. I don't know what's happened to my screen. But that's AT&T Park, by the way. Great venue. Got better Wi-Fi than my house. We're just waiting for the screen to come back. There we go. But you can learn from them. Thank you very much. Always tip your AV guys. So from a what can you learn? So here's one of my early case studies, and sometimes this loses me half the room. This loses the other half of the room. I'm a Collingwood fan myself. My great-granddad played for Collingwood in 1910, so I didn't have a choice. But I went to Collingwood in 2010 when I started out Sports Geek, and I said, Collingwood on Facebook had 55,000 fans. And I said, guys, as a Collingwood fan and as a Sports Geek, I'm embarrassed by that number because we know how many fans turn up to the games, we know how many fans there are out there, but they weren't treating the platform itself with enough respect. They were just going, oh, there's Facebook, we're just chucking the content that we've got out there. And they weren't putting content out there to allow their fans to be proud and to be proud of their club and to celebrate success. So I started working with them in August of 2010. And I said, look, if you do what I tell you to do and follow these techniques and tactics, I said, we'll get 100,000 by the grand final, 6 weeks away. And they completely refocused their efforts on engagement first, content second. They just wanted to make sure the fans were happy and gave them content to engage. Now, they did get 2 grand finals, admittedly, but we got to the 100,000 fans by the grand final. And now they've got 300,000 fans. And again, that engagement focus first is really important. And the thing is, everyone starts somewhere, right? So the Boston Celtics, again, around the same time, in 2010, I posted this photo of famous Boston Celtic Larry Bird during Movember. That was my tribute to Movember, because you can hardly see Larry Bird's little wispy little mustache. And so that was my tribute to Movember. And I didn't say anything, didn't tag the Celtics or anything, just said, there's my tribute. The Boston Celtics then liked my photo. And I'm like, holy hell. The Boston Celtics are on Instagram. How cool is that? And 200 followers. Like, they went out of their way to go and find, there's no tags or anything. They went out of their way to find a photo of Larry Bird, because he's associated with the Boston Celtics, and go, like. And it's a really good exercise when people say, oh, I've got no followers. Oh, we don't have a following. It's like, well, you've got to put in the effort. You've got to do the thumb work. And so it was simply for them going on and engaging their fans and saying, yes, we like those photos, we want more of them. Just the simple effort of liking one of your fans or your students' photos will reinforce the behaviour with them. Oh, we want more of them. It's the mouse and the cheese. You know, it's like double tap. Oh, they want more of that. I'll do more of that. And that helped propel the Celtics' Instagram account and all the content and the way they go engage. Now they have 1 million followers. So you've got to start somewhere. So where are millennials? So initially, this was the top 3 from a social media platform point of view. It was Facebook, it was Instagram, and then Twitter. But now, especially from millennials and a younger generation, it's Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. That would be ranked that way. And you can see here I think this one has a pointer as well, does it? Oh, yeah, it does. Snapchat is the platform of choice in that 18 to 24 bracket. So just a quick show of hands, who in this room has Snapchat? Okay, that's more than most rooms I'm in. So you're not old. Congratulations. Old people go, what's Snapchat? It doesn't, there's no buttons and I can't, it's meant to be confusing for old people. That's why the young kids love it. So what I want to do is sort of dive into a few ways that you can help drive. Yep. Yeah, so the whole messaging platform stuff, I sort of leave it as, adjacent to all of this stuff, but it is, whether it's, WeChat, iMessage, Facebook Messenger, they all use different forms of chat, and it's sort of like dark web to a certain degree. If your kids or your students aren't doing stuff on Facebook, but they've got a group that's a closed group where they're going bananas, but it's not public. So they're getting lots savvier. But yeah, so WeChat and all the chat and WhatsApp and all those are all really prevalent. But it's a bit, and it's still evolving as far as how can brands, teams, universities be in that space without being super creepy, because really it's just letting them use it. I'm really focused on the channels that they are being public about and want to be public about. But yeah, completely that, we're going to have a generation that doesn't have email, right? So you go, hey, we're going to run a campaign to get their email. No, we don't have an email. We don't look at email because we just use Messenger in whatever form, whatever one that their mates go with. So I wanted to focus on Snapchat to begin with, on where it is. And for me, I'm not young. I'm just younger on the internet. I discovered Snapchat, and this sort of shows the penetration and the fact that the 18 to 24 range is all in on Snapchat. It is, and again, it's not all public. So in Snapchat, for the people who don't know, you can take a snap, put it on your public story, and anyone can watch that for the next 24 hours, right? So that's the public version. Then you could also just take a snap and send it to your mate, and it's private. And once he looks at it, or they look at it, and it disappears, then it disappears, right? And so there's a lot of backwards and forwards with students using Snapchat just as their tool, as their messaging way, taking a silly face, writing something on it. For me, my sort of aha moment with Snapchat was when I went to WrestleMania last year. So I went to WrestleMania with a few mates, and one of the things that Snapchat did change that made it a viable platform for sports and for brands overall is the story. Okay, initially when it came out, it was, Snapchat's a great way to send dick pics, right? And that's what all the press was, right? That's how it was pushed in the media. And because it was this private messaging where the photos go away. But the ability to tell a story and to put it to your public story is completely unique in all the social media platforms. Snapchat is the only platform that tells the story sequentially. Every other platform tells it backwards, right? You get onto Instagram and you're flicking back and you're going back in time. You get onto Twitter and you're going back in time. You open up Snapchat story and it starts at the start. How we've always told stories. So it's a really good storytelling element. And then the other part that it's now bringing in, and this is what it did at WrestleMania, is it's crowdsourcing those stories. So at WrestleMania, I had the ability to be sending all of these snaps back, and my mates were watching it and going, wishing they were there. But I also was submitting my snaps to the global WrestleMania story, and they were curating a story that showed a fan point of view from all around the stadium. So it's a completely unique way of watching a sporting event. Right, so I have no doubt that at all your uni games and all your events, these kind of stories are being told. So how can you be part of that, encourage that, get them to be publishers for you? Right, because for me, Snapchat just drives FOMO. I'm missing out, right? And so more of your students Snapchatting that the uni games or what they're doing will drive participation, will drive engagement, we'll want them to be part of it. And that's definitely what we're trying to do from pro sports point of view, we want to show what the live experience is like at the game. That's why you should be there. So the storytelling element, for people who sometimes don't get it, I say, imagine if Ferris Bueller had Snapchat and how awesome that Snapchat story would be. That gets you to understand what a good Snapchat story is and to realise that you're telling a story. So you're saying, oh, this is what I did here and this is what I did here. And then, then we got the car and then then I was singing on a float and then, we smashed the car. Right? It would be an epic Snapchat story. You would tell your friends, hey, tune in, Ferris's day is going off. So there's a couple of ways that you can be involved. One, you can obviously have your own Snapchat, but again, it's tough because it's connected to whoever's got the Snapchat account. So to create those stories, there are other ways to get involved without Snapchatting. And so two of those ways is via geo filters. So there's two types of geo filters with Snapchat, and geo filter is, as geo stands for, a assigned area where a specific filter can be placed on a Snapchat, and a filter will be like a name of where you are. So I took a snap earlier this morning out on the beach, and it gave me 3 or 4 different options to say Gold Coast, right? That is a community filter. On-demand filters allows brands or anybody to put a filter on a specific place. So it's pretty easy to set up a filter. It's a matter of getting them approved. They are simply, 1080 by 1920, and you follow all the guidelines. And then you can simply put a fence around what your university is. Right, so in this case, I just put a fence around Bond University. And you can submit it and put something that says, I'm at uni, I'm at Bond Uni. And so every time someone pulls at their Snapchat to take a photo, whether they're on the quad or on the court or in the hall, they'll be able to put effectively your name or the branding of the university on there. And so that's what a lot of universities are doing and a lot of sports teams are doing in the States to be a bit more engaging with their students. Right, so that's the filter, and you can only do that when you're at Chapel Hill. You can't put that on any Snapchat. You have to be physically in the venue. You can only do the Rip City one when you're in the Motor Centre where the Trailblazers play. So they're an example of the community filters that you can get applied for specific areas of your university, and again, it will help your students show their pride. By saying, hey, I'm at school or I'm doing this. The other one is to be able to do an on-demand custom filter. And so you can, again, say you've got the uni games or you've got a specific event, you can go and build one and just pay for the area. So in this case, for $10, from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock today, if you take a Snapchat in the hotel, you can use my personal geo filter. Oh wait, you can take a snap right now. Right, so if you go and do a snap right now and you swipe, you will see, go back. You will see this filter. And, it's a little hack for me when I'm speaking, and it's, a cool little trick. But we did it recently at the Adelaide Oval for the grand final, for the A-League grand final. And we had the A-League trophy, the circle, the toilet seat. And so we had a geo filter that was like that. So you could put your head in the trophy to say you're at the grand final. And you could only do it if you're at Adelaide Oval. And so we bought that. I think we bought it for 4 hours, covered the whole Adelaide Oval for $100. Okay, and it's, the novelty factor alone means everyone's going to do it. So, if you take one thing away, I would be running these on some of your events because they'll just go, oh, have you seen the filter? And it will excite them and go, oh, look at both uni games, or we'll look at the university, look at how they're engaging in this space. How did I monetize it? No, I paid for it. If I wanted to, I could have, you could put sponsor logos on it. Like, so if you've got a naming rights sponsor. Oh, so to me, this is a branding exercise, right? So if 5 people have used that snap now and they've put it out to their network, so they're now looking me up and trying to find me. And it's me just demoing it to a certain degree. But the idea is, it's already happening, but there are kids that are going for jobs that are putting a filter on the place they're going for a job to say, hey, you just open up your Snapchat photo of me and it says hire me, right? So it's innovative ways to do it, but the thing is they're all using those platforms. So you may as well give them an opportunity to amplify what you're doing. So that's Snapchat. I think there's a real opportunity in the space. Obviously, I was talking to the guys at CSU, I don't know where they are. Yeah, they were talking about that they're handing over their Snapchat account and letting the students do takeovers to tell the different parts of the story. Love the idea. Like, that's a great way to really engage your student community. So that's Snapchat. On to Facebook, because I can't ignore Facebook. Facebook owns 1 in 3 minutes on Australian mobiles. Right? So Facebook owns Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram. Facebook owns WhatsApp. 1 in every 3 minutes of Australian mobiles are owned by Facebook. 15 million people in Australia are on Facebook. So that presents the opportunity, and it's from a marketer's point of view, it's a data goldmine. Because it's not about the likes. It's not about how many likes you've got. It's about what you do with them and the data that you can garner from them. So one of the things that Facebook does do consistently is drive traffic. It is the number 1 source of traffic for every sports club in Australia. 30% of traffic to most sports teams' websites is coming from Facebook. That's the power that it has. Again, it's not specifically your focus. Like, you're not a media organisation to drive traffic, but it's a really good thing to know. So you are more looking at driving engagement and like. And again, having the discussion last night on, we posted this and it went really well. We posted this and it went terrible. Damn you, Facebook. It's not really about Facebook. It's about the content you're providing and who you're providing it for. And so what we've found, and if you want a bit of a hack of the algorithm, as people might, or edge rank, as it might be said, and edge rank, if people don't know, it's the method by which Facebook decides the content that you're going to see in your newsfeed. Okay? You're not going to see everything because most people like too much stuff. The average Facebook user likes 1,500 things and has about 500 friends. If you got to see everything, you would never get anything done. So what EdgeRank does is it serves you the content that you say you like a lot because you click on it or you like it or you engage with it. So if you're going to complain to me that you keep seeing Kim Kardashian posts, I will say to you, stop clicking on them. So at the moment, from an EdgeRank point of view, Facebook is loving video and loving live video even more. Okay? So the more of that you can do, if you're worried about getting it to more people, do more video. And I think live is a really big opportunity. I was at the Queensland Reds yesterday, and they broadcast one of their lower league games via Facebook Live, and they reached 1.9 million people watching a second-level rugby union match. Because Facebook Live is the way to go. And Facebook Live is as easy as pulling out your phone, going to your page, hitting the button and saying, and we're live, and we're watching squash, or we're watching hockey, or we're talking to so-and-so. I would be testing that out. From a link point of view, Facebook's made a real effort to be a news source. So early on, 2009 to about 2012, we would always advise, these two were actually flipped. we would always say, provide a nice big picture, fill up your screen. You want people to like it, and you'll just put a little link that says, read more, here's the story, a little bit.ly link. And Facebook made a change to say, we want to be the world's publisher of news. And so from an EdgeRank point of view, they started to give priority to links. So if you want to have people click through to your article, Facebook says, use a link, right? And so when I say use a link, you copy in the link and you let the image come up and you let the heading come down and you have the little description. That's what a link is in Facebook. And so if someone clicks on the picture, then it drives them to the website. So again, it's about what result do you want? Do you want people to click on the photo and go, yay, look at us? Use a photo. You want people to go to your website? Use a link. And then the last one, which has always been a bit of a hack around for us to get engagement, just ending your status with a question can get you more engagement because people will use the like button as yes. So one of the easiest things, and it still works to this day, in sport, and sport's a unique industry, and especially if you're going through a poor time, and I sort of hit the jackpot yesterday where I met up with the Brisbane Lions, the Queensland Reds, and the Gold Coast Suns. And it's a real fun place to work in a minute. They're like, all we need is a win. But even when you're going through that bad, a bad trough of poor form, and I'm reminded of working with the Sydney Thunder when they went through 2 years of not winning a game. 4 hours before a game, a sports fan's up and about. Hey, we're going to win. We're going to win. I believe it. We're going to win. We're going to win. So we just play on that. And we put up a post that says, who's excited? Are we going to win? Who's up and about? Because the optimist in the fan wants to go, yeah, we're going to win. 17 losses in a row, but we're going to win this week. So just, again, doing it every now and again. You don't want to put a question on every single thing because, again, if you're asking questions and no one's answering them, Facebook will go, your fans don't like that content. When we see more of that content, we're not going to show it to people. So you have to play that game. Use that question every now and again to get that big spike of engagement. Because if you get that big spike of engagement, then they see the next ones. Right? So it's that kind of thing. They're the couple of things you can play around with and see what works for you. But the big opportunity with Facebook is so much data. And it comes in two forms. So it comes in custom audiences, which I'll go through in a moment, and also website pixels. Right, so again, two things you can do right now is use the Facebook advertising platform to just know more about your students and to know more about your community. And so what Facebook offers in the ad side of things, in Facebook Business Manager, you can set up Facebook Business Manager and manage all your pages. You can take a customer list, right? So emails and phone numbers of player registration, students, whatever it is. Now, it's not you grabbing, from a privacy, if there's privacy people, concerns in the room, it's not you just grabbing your emails and going, there you go, Zuck, cheers. What it's doing from a technical point of view is taking a hash, an index of your emails, and then checking it with Facebook. So you're not directly giving the emails away, so you're good from a privacy point of view. As long as you have in your privacy policy, you can be marketed to via other third parties. In your privacy policy, you should be fine. And so what you can do, you can take, and this is what we do with the sports clubs and leagues, is you can take a list of data, say emails of people who have registered to play or things like that. And you can load it into Facebook and then you can say, okay, Facebook, what do you know about these people? And so you could take 10,000 emails, load it in. Facebook will say, we know 75% of those people. And here's the demographic data for those people. Here's what they like. Here's how many of those people already like your page. Right? So it's the easiest data research project that can be done in 30 minutes. Because you can then dive into Facebook's data and say, what do they like? What's the demographic? Where do they live? Those kind of things. You don't have to run an ad to do this. That's just plain analysis. You then have the option to run ads, which we'll go into. The other one is website traffic. So website traffic allows you to set up a pixel. So a website cookie gets put on your website, and you just put it on all of your website. And then when someone comes to your website and they haven't logged out of Facebook, when was the last time you logged out of Facebook? Never. Facebook used to have an ad on the logged out page. I think Ford had it for a little while, and then they realised no one logs out. So why would you buy the ad on the log out page? Now, the fact that you don't log out means every time you go to another website that has a pixel on, Facebook knows about it. And so we can go, in the last 6 months, 10,000 people have been to your site, or 3,000 people have been to this page. Again, it's just more data that you have the ability to then, down the track, if you want to run an ad campaign, you could use this data to run an ad. So at the very least, having them there builds up these audiences for what you want to do. So from an audience insights point of view, it gives you the standard stuff, the demographics, but then you can dive into what the group likes. So in this case, I went 18 to 24, Facebook in Australia, what concerts, what albums, what dancer. I didn't even know dancer was a category. But it tells you exactly what they like. So we use this data in the pro sports side of things to profile sponsors and commercial options. If we know that we've got a demographic that really likes a certain brand or product, we can go to that sponsor and say, our fan base really loves your soft drink. How can we do a partnership? So there's some real options in that space. And it comes in the form of campaigns. And so the ones that we're using the most at the minute are video views. If you've got a video that's promoting an upcoming games or an event, you can put it on Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, I want lots of people to see this. What's important is who sees it. Right, so you can say, I want my Facebook fans to see it. They have to see it. I want people who visit my website to see it. And I want people who registered for the event. I want them to see it. And you can get campaigns and video views out there for really small budgets. Like I did one recently. It was my own video where I pushed it out to a sports business and technology interested industry. And for $60, it got in front of 15,000 people. And now I've got a video that's got 2,500 views that if someone goes, oh, gee, Sean might know what he's talking about. But I got that for $60. So again, you can build that up. Post engagement and web conversions are other ones that either get a lot of engagement on a certain post or drive traffic to the website. So there's a lot of options in that space. And specifically, I would be looking at it when you're in this promotion of your event or driving registrations or getting awareness of your event. A little bit of budget can go a real long way with Facebook, and it all comes down to how good your audience is. What I generally say to people who want to get started, they see that boost button there, and that's Facebook's donate button, right? That's because you can just hit it and Facebook go, do you want me to show it to a lot of people? And go, yeah. And you give them $25 or $100 and it does. It shows them to a lot of people. But it's not sophisticated enough to get your audiences right. So I always say, just pause a bit, make sure you know who you're pushing it out to. Because if you're going to say, yeah, send it to my friends, so my fans and their friends. And the friends of your fans are most likely the parents and little brothers and sisters of your students. You don't want to target your ad to those people. You want to target your ad to a certain demographic that have already shown qualification to be interested in your content. So it's really important from a social point of view, just to know your goals and what you're trying to do. And so there's normally 3 that you want to tackle: engagement, data, and content. And I deliberately move them around. Normally, it's content engagement data if I'm looking at a pro team because they're producing content. But I push this down the order for you guys because you really just want to engage your student body first and then potentially get data and get information about them. One of the platforms that I think does that really well from an engagement point of view is Instagram. Came out with a new logo. I don't know about that logo. But I did see someone say recently, if you're looking at the old logo, which was a real retro, hey, we're doing, it's like a Polaroid and look at all these cool old photos. But Instagram has become more than that. It's not old school. Like there's people doing really inventive stuff on it, creative videos on it. And so it's sort of gone past that, hey, we're just doing retro photos. So that's the primary, for mine, that's the primary reason for the update. Again, not sure about the colours. But what Instagram allows you to do is to, again, tell your story. And it's still a really easy medium for athletes to use. It's a really easy medium for bragging. Like when you're at somewhere cool, you're doing something, that's where you want to do it. The key thing for Instagram, for mine, with the growth that there is, so there's about 4.5 to 5 million Australians on Instagram, is that it's different to Facebook. Okay, Facebook is, you connect with your friends, your family, and you stalk the people you went to high school with, right? That's what Facebook's for. Whereas Instagram, it's more passion-based. You follow foodie, wine, travel, scenery, inspo, fitspo, healthspo, there's all those spos in there. That's what you follow. You follow 6 passions on average. So I follow all the sports teams and some travel ones and those kind of things. You want to make sure that your account and what you're trying to drive with your account is in one of those 6. Okay, so try to look at what your students are posting and stick with that style and stick with that look and feel. Like I love this. Saw this as I was going through. Helping them get in part of the be part of the games and make it easy for them to do that. And something simple is just getting your hashtag up and working and saying this is what you're doing. There's 2,100 posts there, right? And overall, with all the different games, you can all be leveraging that. And again, going back to the Boston Celtics double-clicking a photo, it's really important for mine to show that what is being shared on Instagram is liked and loved, and tracking that. And so what we use and what I share with people is a product called IFT. If this, then that is what it stands for. And as a coder, as a former geek, I love it, right? If this, then that. It allows you to connect all the pipes of the internet. And so I've got a whole bunch that I use that are on that URL, and you can scribble it down, but I'm going to give you the presentation at the end. Sorry to the people who have been scribbling down all this time. I should have said that earlier. So here's an example of one of the rules that I love. So every time I like a photo on Instagram, IFT goes, oh, Sean liked that photo from so-and-so, and it saves that photo for me in Dropbox. So I've got a copy of the photo now. I also have another one that runs and puts a record of it into the Google spreadsheet. Now, why do I do it? Because then I go and look at my folder of all my Instagram likes and I go, oh, I've liked 500 photos this month. So it keeps me on par of what I'm meant to be doing, engaging my audience and those kind of things. So again, if you want to give a KPI to someone in your comms team to say, I want to know how many photos got shared at the uni games. All you've got to do is, while you're having your coffee, go, that's all you've got to do, and IFT will collect them all. And then you can end up with things like this. That was all at the Australian Open. They were all the Instagrams that were shared at the Aussie Open. And then they were having them printed off on these tiny little printers, and then they built out this matrix. It ended up being, all the players. But, the Australian Open did a really good job on the hashtag AO selfie, right? Hey, you're at the Australian Open, take a selfie. And again, sometimes you just have to tell people to do it. And so you'll be walking around the venue, and there'd be a thing on the concrete with a pair of shoes that said take an AO selfie, and people were literally going on the thing and click, right? It's not that hard. Put that around your venues, around your games. If you've got a good spot, people will do it. And then once they do it and they see it on someone else's feed, it sort of follows from there. So it's a really good way to build engagement and some traction with what you're doing on Instagram. It's really important. It's very easy to put all digital fans in the one bucket, but they all don't fit in the one bucket. I mean, if a current affairs is going to do a show on social media fans, and they'll profile someone like me, they'll say, "Oh, he's this megaphone. He's sharing Snapchats from the stage. He told people what he had for breakfast." Like, that's one type of social media and a digital user. It's not everybody. So it's really important to know that you've got different kinds of users around. Like, one of the ones that we see a lot in sport is this inner circle, right? I just want to feel like I'm part of the locker room and I'm part of the inner sanctum. So a lot of fans are in that space, right? They'll contribute a little bit, but they're really just consuming a lot of content. There's a whole bunch that are just consuming, whether they be an info seeker or just cautious. 40% of people who have Twitter don't tweet. They never tweet. So all they're doing is lurking and watching stuff, right? So they're in this space. Here's another one that's sports focused, the news junkie. Everyone's got a mate who wants to be the breaker of news in their own little circle, right? And you'll have that in your own universities. Like, there will be those people that share that content. As a comms department, you want to know who those people are because you want to feed them the content that makes them amplify it. And then the other thing that we've found is people don't stay in those buckets because it depends on content. Whatever content, if you give someone a piece of content that really, hits them right here and they love it, they can go from here to here. So the example I use, and I was talking about last night, I'm a Detroit Pistons fan. I was a Detroit Pistons fan when I was a teenager and going through uni, and so I was a big fan of the 89-90 Detroit Pistons with Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman. Love those guys. That's who I grew up with. Still follow the Detroit Pistons now. They've been going up and down. They haven't been the great lately. But when they share something about the bad boy Pistons, I go from info seeker, just watching in a circle, to megaphone. I can't help it, right? Because it hits my passion point. So again, you need to be mindful that yes, we're pitching this content for these people, we're pitching this for these people, but at some point, when you get that right, they will amplify it and push it out for you. Who knows who this guy is? Seinfeld fans in here? Yeah, but do you know what his name was? Putty. So Putty is the epitome of the 90s sports fan, right? To be a fan in the 90s, you had to paint your face.
We're the Devils! The Devils!
Right? Now, we don't have to paint our faces anymore. Digital is the face paint. Okay? We don't have to paint our faces to identify ourselves as a Devils fan. Right? Because we are double-clicking on their photo. We are retweeting about them. We are liking their stuff on Facebook. We are sharing their video. We're checking in at the game. And we can do all that on the train or at the stadium or whatever. So our online presence has face paint all over it. That's what the digital is. So for me, it's all about the face paint. It's all about giving your fans, in your case, giving your students all the face paint they can use to amplify and show how big a fan they are. So again, to sort of wrap up, where are your fans? Snapchat, Insta, and Facebook. And this one, I left this slide in. because I know, again, different competing, different priorities for university sport as to pro sport, but this is pretty much the model that we've been driving the last 7 years. Initially, it's about just reaching your audience and building your audience, seeing how many more people you can find that want to connect with your message and what you're trying to do. And it's that engage first. Just look to engage them. Look to get them to like you, get them to like your posts, get them to join in the conversation, start sharing. And then it becomes, in the pro sports sense, it becomes conversion. So do we get their data? Do we get their email? Do we get them to buy a ticket to a game? Do we get them to buy some merchandise? Do we get them to be a season ticket holder? Right? That's what a conversion is in pro sports. Right? But a conversion in university sport might be, I'm going to get them to play more sport. I'm going to get them to register, or I'm going to get them to attend an event. So there's different meanings for the conversion, but you still want to look at that conversion. And then, again, whether it's revenue-based or not, it's retaining those students, keeping them engaged, keeping them playing sport, keeping them connected with the university post, after leaving the university. That's pretty much been the model that we've been driving with sports teams and leagues since. From a commercialisation point of view, I was lucky enough to have Will Anderson speak at a Twitter brekkie back in 2012. And Will is a funny bloke, comedian, and really smart operator from a business point of view. He explained his whole digital strategy with 3 numbers. He said, I don't care that I have 250,000 Twitter followers. I just want 50,000 people to buy one $50 ticket to a comedy show every year. I'm like, that's brilliant. Like that's every sports marketer's manager, that's their plan. If you're Collingwood, we have 300,000 Facebook fans, but we want 70,000 people to be members of the Collingwood Football Club. That's the exact same thing. So don't overcomplicate digital strategy to say, what do you want to do? And again, it doesn't have to be a dollar figure to be the commercialised. It can be, we have this many students, we want this many students to be playing sport or participating or attending. How can you get digital to get those numbers to wash out? I think that's really, really important. So going back to those 3 things, content, data, and engagement. And it's a matter of seeing what you can do. You can't do all of them all of the time, but from a content point of view, it's things like producing content for the website, video, email, social. From a data point of view, it's getting data, getting emails, getting phone numbers, or just getting the behavioural and demographic data that Facebook is giving to you for free. And then the last one is engagement. Again, likes, shares, retweets, using hashtags, more user-generated content, right? Again, that one is the one, that engagement's already there. It's just a matter for you to really harness that power and help them amplify it. And if you can get all 3, do a dance. Digital campaign trifecta, you can get all 3. You can't get all 3 in every single one, and you shouldn't try to get all 3 in every single one. But that's what you're going for. So if you are tweeting, you can tweet this now. If you want a copy of the presentation, you can just text that number and I'll email it to you. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take some. And I have no idea how much time I've got left, Dave. I'm happy to take a question. Or your brain's a bit, oh my God. Yep. Yep. So to repeat the question, people didn't hear, does Facebook know when you're trying to sell something? Completely. So it goes, that's an ad, you should pay money for it. That's pretty much their philosophy. So that said, it can be done effectively. Like I said, if you want to do the register thing, I would be doing a video that says, coming up soon, have you registered? Pushing that out, it's going to get good love anyway because it's a video. And then you would say, I want to run a video views campaign to people who have visited my website, who know registered last year. And you can even do things. Yeah, so they're the main ones, and push it out really hard. And say you spent $40, and you'll see how many people potentially do it. The good thing about the video views campaign, and again, have it a short video, like 15 seconds, doesn't need to be long. Facebook will create you an audience of people who watch the video, right? So you're going from, I'm going to hit the whole school community, and then it's like, oh, look, these are the people who watch the video. And so then you take that audience, and then you just run a campaign that might be running for like $5 a day that says, have you registered yet? And you're only sending it to the people who've seen the video. So it's about setting up that funnel a little bit and understanding that. But yeah, Facebook knows when you're selling stuff and it deliberately turns it. So one way is understanding how you can run an ad campaign. The other way is how can you integrate that sales message into other content. So if you've got really good picture content, can you put the branding of when the registration is on the image? And, to start getting that messaging out. At the back, and then I'll come to you. Yep. Yep. So you're talking about. So it's more of a Twitter thing, which I didn't discuss today, mainly because it's not in a great growth space at the moment, if I'm blunt. But on Twitter. Where Twitter does work is live sport. And for mine, from a university point of view, I would be testing whether your students are tweeting. That would be my first call. But what Jordan was saying is that the NBA Twitter is sort of, as it's known, is there's a real fun aspect to it where the teams themselves have a really fun personality, realise that it's a bit of a fun platform and a throwaway platform, and they will have backwards and forwards, banter, trash talk, whatever you want to call it, that the fans really get into because they feel like they're in the inside joke. So even one that was yesterday, the Philadelphia 76ers won the number one pick and most likely going to select Australian Ben Simmons. The Sacramento Kings had previously done a trade with the 76ers, and the Sacramento Kings go, hey, Sixers, do you want to trade that pick maybe? With a gif of someone going, right, just being playful. And the Sixers replied, who dis? New number, right? Just completely blew them off, just, being fun in the space. So there is an opportunity for that. To pull back the curtain on those kind of things, you need talented people behind the keyboard of both of those accounts. Because if it's not a fair fight, if you have someone super witty and someone that's just doing their job, that will get smashed. And you don't want that. You want some equal to it. And the other thing is, it can be staged. You can stage it a little bit. So Collingwood and Carlton over the last couple of years have done this love to hate type of thing. And they will go, oh, who remembers this? And then Carlton will come back, oh, well, we remember this. And then the Collingwood account go, oh, well, what about this? And so each one of the fans are going, yeah, and they just end up barracking for the own account. And that, that just gets a bit of, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, let's do this. And then it happens. So if you are getting engagement on Twitter, what Jordan's saying is don't be shy to have that backwards and forwards, from a university, from a games point of view, to say who's better, what the bravado is, and just see how the fans react. Because Twitter is relatively disposable. If it doesn't work, you go, that's cool, it doesn't work. Now we're on to the next stuff.
Put your hands together for Sean.
Thanks, mate.
Sign up for Sports Geek News at sportsgeekhq.com/sign up now.
I hope you enjoyed that keynote. It's always good to get up and talk to a new audience. And I was really excited about some of the things that they are doing in the space. There was a few universities that have really realised that Snapchat is a platform that all of their students are using. And they had gone through the challenges and the approvals of actually handing over the Snapchat account to students and letting them tell the story of the university or the university games. And I think that's a really, it's a really brave move, handing over one of your channels. And I'm really just waiting to see when more sports teams, when a sports team does something like that. Like we've seen player takeovers of Snapchats and things like that. But is there a space where a sports team could hand over a Snapchat account to a fan and let them broadcast what their experience at a game is like? I think it's only around the corner who's going to be looking to do that kind of stuff. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this bonus podcast. If you want me to speak at your conference or at your function, please contact me, Sean at sportsgeekhq.com. I really get a buzz out of speaking on stage and moderating panels and meeting new groups. So I'm more than happy to tailor a presentation for your audience and for your goals. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back to regular scheduled programming on the next episode of the Sports Geek podcast.
Like the Sports Geek podcast? Find us on facebook.com/sportsgeek. Check out which teams work with Sports Geek at sportsgeekhq.com/clients. Please leave a review on iTunes. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/iTunes. Thanks for listening to the Sports Geek Podcast.